we're now going to bring in Mxiety. Mxiety, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear,
I'm
bud.
gonna let me maximize this so the people can see. It's good to have you on stream.
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
gosh,
shout
it's
you
great
out
to
one
be
more
here.
time. Definitely good to have a chat. Mxiety is a mental health champion. That is the Twitter handle. And you can check her over at twitch.tv/Mxiety. What is your other preferred platform that people can interact with you on?
Definitely Twitter. Find me on Twitter. I'm on every platform. I am Mxiety, so easy enough to find wherever you prefer, but Twitter is probably where I am at all
Awesome.
times of the day.
At all times. Yeah, I have a problem where
Yes.
I mean, have you seen Endgame yet?
No.
Okay, so obviously I'm not going to say anything because podcast, but all day Thursday I was waiting to see it, and I had to I picked up my phone, went to click Twitter, and then held my finger over the button. I was like, nah, can't do that today. Can't do that today.
I
Just
went in and marked everything as a muted word.
yes.
Avengers, Endgame, Hulk, Black Widow. I like it's a huge list. And it keeps getting longer because stuff keeps falling through. And
Right.
I'm like, okay, with a space. So yeah, I'm putting that in.
Right. With Hulk with a space in between the H and the U, because
Yep.
those trolls, man, if only they applied themselves all this time and energy, they'd be
Right?
so great at
To
all
mental
these
health
things.
awareness.
I know. I think that's a good segue, but I'm gonna do that later, chat. I'm gonna use that segue later. Exactly, Cannoli. No spoils here. No spoils here. So when are you seeing Endgame, by the way?
I'm seeing it Sunday night.
Okay. So you're
So
almost
I have
there.
a long ways to go.
Yeah, that's funny you say that's a long ways. One of my coworkers was like, "Oh yeah, I'm seeing it next Thursday." I'm like, "Dude, you're not gonna make
Good
it.
luck.
You're
Good
gonna
luck,
get
man.
spoiled. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
time."
Well, but the thing about spoilers, especially for a movie like this, like if somebody's like, "Oh, dinosaur dies," you're like, "Well, chances are dinosaur was probably gonna die anyway," and then
Right.
they could not die, and then if they do die, like you still don't know how they die, you don't know the details.
You
Like,
just revealed that the dinosaur Avenger dies. Okay. What are we gonna do,
I'm very
champ?
sorry. I
Oh
think you're
God.
gonna have to just kick me off the platform
How
right
do we
off.
how do we ban a podcast guest? I
Can
don't
you
understand.
imagine the
I don't know.
creativity of a troll that was like, "I'm gonna come on. Ready? I'm gonna come on. What did
Yes.
we plan this 2 weeks from now? I'm gonna come on 2 weeks from now, and I'm gonna have Avengers spoilers ready to go, and I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
tell them about that
I'm gonna
dinosaur."
enter Laura's podcast and be like, all right, Thanos is actually Iron Man. I'm not even gonna say anymore because I don't want to approach any spoilers. Just
Or just
so.
accidentally, yeah, in this,
Oh
yeah,
gosh,
you
right?
don't want to do that.
Accidentally. Okay, so
Yeah, exactly.
ban. Well, welcome in Mxiety. It's good to have a chat. If you're unfamiliar with her content, she is on a lot of different platforms. And before I get to that, I do want to start with I hate my dogs right now. They're barking at random stuff. Anyway, so if you hear them chant, apologies. Nothing I can do. They're going to be fine. We always start with the first time we interview a guest with your journey on Twitch. So, how long have you been streaming for?
So this month actually marked a year and a half,
Gotcha. Nice.
and yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No. After you.
Just keep going. Okay, all right. I
Keep
was
on
like,
going.
okay.
No. This is about you. It's
So
not about me.
what? No, that's not how interviewing works. Wait, not my show. Okay, all right. I can do this. I can do this.
Is it? It's
Uh,
your show now. Okay, your show now. So you've been streaming for a
so
year and a half.
yes, so I've been streaming for a year and a half, and it all started one day when I had a very intense, very public panic attack at my job, and they were like, "Why don't you come over here and then not come back? Thank you."
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah. Well, like in lesser terrible terms, but that's what happened
Sure.
for all intents and purposes. And then I was like, well, this is my shot. In 20, I mean, the story's on my website, but I'll repeat it because I
Please.
love repeating it. But in 2013, I had a pretty intense breakdown, and I remember driving my car and being like, if I can make it through this one, and if I ever feel better, I'm going to make sure nobody else feels this way. And yeah, and so then it took me a very long time to find the guts to do anything about it. That was a huge stepping stone that I wasn't ready to do. I knew I wanted to write. I knew I wanted to talk to people about this, but I wasn't ready. Like I had YouTube videos recorded that I just would record and then delete immediately. Like none of them. I think there's still one that's like maybe some footage will make the light of day at some point, but yeah, so I couldn't do it. And then 2017 came around,
Right.
and my that whole situation happened, and I was like, well, this is it. this is, I have to do something about this. I can't sit around and like, how many, if I in New York City working for an ad agency, like of all the progressive places,
Mhm.
and this happened to me, how many people are suffering and they don't have anybody to talk to? So then I went to look for resources and I just couldn't find any accessible ones. Like there's a bunch of stuff out there by psychiatrists and psychologists and therapists and all that good stuff. But and then there's a bunch of stuff out there by advocates. And a lot of the issue with the advocatorial stuff is that people will go into spaces where it's just like not necessarily safe to be in.
Right.
So like they'll be like, "Hey, what medication should I take?" And I'm like, "No, that's between you and your doctor. Please don't
Yeah.
ask complete strangers on the internet what medication to take. I wouldn't even want them to recommend you a Benadryl, let alone like something as serious as a, as an SSRI or something."
Oh gosh. The only
So
doctor I am is Dr. Mario. That's it. You know.
I'm Dr. Luigi personally, but it's okay. We can settle our differences in a Dr. Mario game. That's
Now we'll
fine.
have to play Smash Bros to the death. Later. Later.
Yeah,
Of
later.
course.
Not right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But but yeah. So and Twitch became a natural platform for me to start the conversation. So I started my website, and I figured that I wanted to have a conversation with people live so that they could ask questions, because what I found is there was nowhere for me to go to ask questions when I needed it. So I was like, I'm going to research this stuff. I'm doing it anyway. And then I'm going to answer people's questions. And I'm going to be there when they ask, so that they have the opportunity to ask all the stupid stuff that,
Right.
or the stuff that like you might be embarrassed and feel like is stupid. Right. So that's the like, I don't understand why depressed people can't get out of bed,
Oof.
or like, is anxiety really a thing? My girlfriend has it and I feel like she's lying, like all
Oh
that.
God.
I wanted to be able to respond to those people because a lot of them genuinely just don't know and need a little bit of, a little bit of pointers, a little bit of information. So yeah, so here we are. Twitch was the way to go because I knew I could have that live discussion,
Right.
and then the other piece of it was me finally sitting down and writing, and it's been going ever since.
Nice. Well, see, this is why I love Twitch as a platform, because you get
Yep.
people like Mxiety who take
Oh,
their problems and you use it to better the world. Like this is what this is. You had issues,
it's
you
very
continue to
sweet.
work through stuff. Yeah, well, I call it like I see it, okay? So you're like you had this public thing at work that must have been, very difficult to go through. And then instead of internalizing it and, hiding, you then blast the internet and showcase your pain in a way that can help others to make them not feel alone. That's awesome. So, hyper claps in chat. Okay,
Oh
okay.
my
So,
gosh! Oh my
there
gosh!
we
When
go.
you
So,
put it like that, that does sound real fancy.
I can keep on complimenting you if you would like. Okay,
No,
this.
no, definitely not, because there was the reality of it all is that there's a lot of anxiety involved in it, and it's not like one of those. I think a lot of people tend to share the story of like, one day I had the guts to press the go live button, and since then it's been smooth sailing, right? Like
No.
that's what you'll hear with, I feel like, with established content creators, and it was
Yes.
like, no, I was still super anxious and it was still super hard for a very long time until
I'm still
I feel
anxious.
like, yes, I feel like it was just a month ago that I finally stopped watching the clock while I stream. This used to be a thing where I would watch it and be like, okay, good. You talked for 10 minutes. You had something to say. Okay, good job. I have to talk for 10 more minutes. Like I would talk myself through the whole episode, and
Gotcha.
I don't think it came through, but that stuff going on in your brain, it's definitely distracting and definitely
Yeah.
doesn't make for the best, you know, if you're not fully present, then you can't give your best. And so
Right.
as much as I try to give my best when anxiety or depression are around, it's tough.
I like the way you put that, where you're not being present. That's something that I find myself
Yeah.
telling myself, and which is me not being present. So if I'm like recognizing that I'm not being present, I'm still, that's like a two times not being present. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yep.
it's even worse.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I like even today I came home from work and I like, okay, I got this podcast. I got to make sure that I'm prepared. I got my questions all here and
Right.
I'm
Right.
ready to go. And I like sit down and I kind of look and I'm like, all right, I got like 15 minutes and I'm looking around and it's that green go live button's right there. And it doesn't get easier, to
No.
put myself out there. Well, it
No.
does in
I
certain
mean,
ways.
marginally.
Yeah, it's
In a degree it does, because I think it's become pretty natural to want to hit that button. But like yesterday, I'm trying a new show format. So it was the first time in months, I want to say 6 or 8 months, that I hesitated before I hit the go live. Cause I was
Wow.
like, we're gonna start this new thing right now. Are you ready to do that? And then I just had to do it. And then there was a moment, I think if you watch the VOD, there's like 3 seconds between me going live and me being like, wait, I have to, oh, hey, what's up, you guys? It's
So,
Mxiety.
exactly. Just, hey, by the way.
Oh, also I'm live, so I have to do a thing now. Okay, I have to present myself. Okay, okay, okay.
Run, run. Well, that's good that you did it and you
Yeah.
pushed through all of the problems and the feelings. Welcome in, Bryce. It's good to have you. I'm only going to say this one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's good to have you. We do have follower only mode on at 10 minutes because of endgame spoilers, so I apologize if you want to do questions. We normally take questions. You have to follow. I know it's annoying. It's for your protection. Okay. We don't want
This is for your protection.
Thanos demands your silence, the whole thing, so it's for your protection. Bryce, welcome in. It's good to have Whale Frick. I know, Joey. I know. It's crazy. You've been a follower, though. So I'm sorry, Bryce. I know. Again,
So
for your protection. But yeah, I've never had an issue talking on stream. I have an issue finishing thoughts on stream, right?
oh
So
my
I
gosh, we have a
ramble,
command for
ramble,
that.
ramble, and then one of my mods, and thank God for all my mods, they'll be like, Laura, you were talking about this like star 10 minutes ago star, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's get back to that. So that's my
Yeah.
problem, where I
Yeah.
find myself going like, all right, I had this really important thing that I want to talk about. And then our last stream, we tried Magic the Gathering Arena for the first time, and I was like, oh yeah, turn 4, I'm going to talk about this. I realized 2 games had gone by before I even mentioned the thing that I was really wanting to talk to chat about. And one of my moms was like, lower this. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, let's go back
Too
to
real.
that. So
Too
too
real.
real for me. So,
So that girl Bryce, yeah, she's my moderator, and she
oh,
just
good.
put in the command. So the command she put in is the sound effect that comes after is choo choo,
Ah,
because it's my train of thought just leaving.
ah.
Because I will be talking, then I'll stop and I'll be like, what was I saying just now, just a second ago before I stopped talking? I was very certain of whatever I was saying, and then all of a sudden it was just poof, it's still like
Poof.
totally gone out of my brain.
That's
Yeah.
me. Poof. Like one of my
Yep.
friends, she tried to get me to path my brain how I got from point A to point B in like my story. And I was like, well, we
Hmm.
were talking about the ocean. The ocean's blue. Reminded me of a
Right.
blue ball I had growing up. I played
Hmm.
soccer. I miss soccer.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
we were talking about the ocean. Because they'll be like, they'll be like, oh yeah, the ocean. I'll be like, I miss soccer. They'll be like, Ryan, Laura, what the hell, man? Like,
What happened in
doesn't make
between?
any sense.
We weren't here for the middle part. What
Right.
happened? What
I do,
journey
Joey.
did you take?
It's too long of a journey, okay? And that's just small, okay? My mind is an enigma, chat. It's just too much. What was I Googling again? Exactly. Bryce.
Oh no, that's so that girl, she's making fun of me because I did that yesterday, where this is doubly embarrassing. This wasn't
Sure.
yesterday, I think this was Wednesday. I was Googling myself, and in the middle of Googling myself, I forgot that I was Googling myself.
Hmm.
So the embarrassment,
Oh,
in
God.
addition to the fact that like my ego was exploding at the time, was
It's pretty funny, actually.
top notch.
Top notch.
That is content creation at its finest right
We
now.
are professionals,
Yeah.
chat, but that's kind of why you
Mhm.
come here for the live stuff, don't you, chat? Okay, don't you? Because you get to see the B-roll. We could just call it
Mhm.
B-roll, right? You know, it's just there for filler. You know, you just being silly,
Yeah,
right?
you see
Isn't
the
that why?
wall breaking down. Yep.
Exactly. So most of your content is this pro mental health, positivity focused stuff. You don't really play games on stream, which is kind of unique to Twitch. Is that is that right? Do you normally like pepper in games here and there, or is it like a very sporadic thing?
Well, so we have played Stardew. We have a long going game of Stardew that, like, periodically it's like a treat where we all go, okay, let's go back to Stardew. When I used to stream full time before I went back to working full time, that's when we would play Stardew. And then that became okay, this is just a treat. Then we went through a phase where we played the Jurassic Park game, which was fantastic until I
Ooh,
started getting frustrated. So I am a very anxious gamer.
sure.
Just like very anxious, and it doesn't make for the best like, it's entertaining to a point where until you're like, are you okay?
Right.
So it's not my, and then I learned to accept the fact that like I'm going to have to entertain people without gameplay. And there was definitely there was an expectation that I had of myself of, well, I'm on Twitch, so I should be gaming, I should learn how to game so that I could be on Twitch. And then there was a moment that was like, I'm not a gamer. I can't sit here and give people advice that's like, be yourself and don't create content, that doesn't feel right. Don't talk just because you're trying to push away anxiety, you know? So knowing that I didn't, there's a train. Choo choo.
True, true.
Um,
I do like how you said, though, you don't have to game on Twitch. It did
yeah,
start as like a video gaming streaming platform, but we see this more and more with, we got to meet, I got to meet Gothic's model briefly. I saw that you interviewed her. Like, she really doesn't play games. I think that's fair to say. Like, it's all
she
comedy.
plays okay.
Right?
If she plays games, if somebody plays games, it's definitely more so. She plays more so than I do. She's a big Dead by Daylight
Yes.
player.
But she
Mhm.
takes the game and like rises above it and makes it into a
Yeah,
comedy stream. It's not even really about
yeah,
the game. It's about the
no,
game show or the comedy sketch that she's created. And
yeah,
that's
it's
really
really
interesting.
cool.
And
It's so cool.
in something similar, like you have taken this platform that has been meant, well, has rather started with gaming. Now it's just meant for any kind of live content that's wholesome, So, and here you are. You don't have to play games, chat. This is the message I want you to hear. You don't have to play games on Twitch to be successful or even to help
Yes.
people. You can just be
Especially
yourself.
if, yeah, especially if playing games means you're forcing yourself out of a comfort zone that, like, we perform our best when we are comfortable. That's not saying don't leave your comfort zone ever, but it
Right.
is saying just know yourself enough to be like, now is a good time for me to not do this thing, or now's a good time for me to try something new. It's a lot of talking to yourself and reevaluating and being honest with yourself.
Like you said, reevaluate. I'm going to keep on saying I like how you said, because just I like what you have to say. Apparently, reevaluating something I've been doing recently, where I've been trying to find, and I go back and forth with this, a main game to play, because I want something I can invest time in and something I
Hmm.
can really give myself to, and my community can see the growth and see me get better at it. But I can't find something that like checks all the boxes I want, and maybe that's on me. It is on me, So maybe I need to set my expectations lower, higher. I'm not sure, but it's something that I've been going through recently. So.
I also use the word relearning a lot.
Mm,
And that implies that you're constantly, you're making mistakes, and you will remake those mistakes, and you will come back, and you will, as you're evaluating and figuring out yourself, you might make the same mistake but in a new situation. And so I like to refer to that as relearning. You're
right.
relearning, reteaching yourself.
Is this a personal attack, chat? Does she know me personally? This is that is what I do constantly. Actually, I feel like
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
day, that's how.
It's me. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
me
feel like
too.
that's nail on the head. You just hit Loru's nail on the head. Just that's Loru. There it is. So always relearning. So nice. All right. So Stardew when you can, but mainly the
Just the gappity gap yap yap. Yeah.
just the yappity yap yap. But that's, and as someone with the gift of gab, okay,
Mhm.
respect. All right. So how did you hear about Twitch then? If you don't even consider yourself a gamer, right? Because I grew up with games, but how did
Mhm.
you find Twitch?
Okay, well, so I can go two directions here. The first one is we were too poor to have video games beyond the NES. So
Shown
we had bought that one when the next game console had come out. And so if I know how to play something, it's Mario 3 and Mickey Mouse Escapades or Escapes. I don't
Sure.
remember what it. Yeah,
Escape.
so Escape. Yeah, exactly. So I know that, and I know Tetris. Like,
Mm,
I can play Tetris with my eyes closed. And other than that, like, I'm not a gamer. So okay, so now we get to the part of how did you learn about Twitch? I am surrounded by gamers, and one
okay.
of the reasons that I wanted to talk on Twitch is because I was like, all of my gamer friends, yeah, I'm gonna say all. I'm gonna use the word all. There's 7 of them have some kind of mental health
Mm,
challenges that they deal with, and I feel like there was just not room before for them to talk about it with anybody necessarily. But I became the friend that people would go to and be and talk to me. So these are all friends that I met through my husband. He's a huge gamer. He's been playing since since he was little, so kind of closer to your story.
is that his
Um,
poster behind you?
uh,
Zelda.
yeah, yeah, the
I love it.
Zelda, but the signed peach, that's mine.
Signed Peach. Oh, I see it.
I,
Peach.
it's like in the corner. Yeah, it's a peach, and she's signed. It's
I like
lovely.
it. Who is it signed by? Sorry, I'm
It's
speaking of
by the
trains.
voice actors for Peach.
That is Pog Champ. I think
It is.
that's super tight. That's
I
better than
can't
that
take it off
poster
and show
chat.
you. I wish I could. It's like it's attached so that it doesn't slam when the door slams. I'm very
Ah,
sorry.
tight. And now I forgot what we were talking about. How you started with
That's
Twitch?
cool. I do remember what I was talking about.
Do it.
Okay, so a bunch of gamers, and I was like, so I think the gaming community could really use an outlet for this.
Sure.
And Twitch came around because I had friends. I Twitch came around because so I created my account June, so like about 2 years ago. And then I started watching other people stream, and I was like, I knew right away, I was like, this is going to be an uphill battle. They are not prepared for some, like, people are playing games. And when, like, just chatting, I feel like has become a thing now, but really
Yes.
didn't used to be.
No.
But yeah, I was like, this is going to be me swimming upstream for sure if I'm not, if like I can't play games. So, okay, so that's when I hunkered down, was like, I'm gonna play Stardew the best I can. But yeah, so Twitch became the main appeal of Twitch is that I was like, people can respond to me, right? You don't get that on YouTube. People, there's comments. But Twitch, if you have one viewer talking to you or three viewers talking to you, you're already starting a conversation. Whereas on YouTube, until you get to a certain point, you're not even going to get comments. And when you do get comments, they're they're YouTube comments.
Yep.
So so it was a matter of, I'm sure somebody out there wants to feel less alone. And that was the goal. That was going on Twitch. The goal was, how can I make sure at least one person, if at least one person every stream feels better about themselves, I did my job. And for a
Awesome.
very long time, that goal sustained me. Now I'm a lot loftier, but that's a separate conversation.
Sure. That's awesome. That might be the most, at least as far as I've heard, the most unique entrance into this platform. Because for me, it was as simple as I played League of Legends back in the day. I watched streamers like years ago, like 8 years ago. I made my Twitch account. I would watch them and just not have an account for like 2 or 3 years. And I would just deal with the ad because I didn't know any better. And then I was like, oh, I can follow them? Great. Oh, I can sub to them? Awesome. But that was like years after, you know? So that's awesome. That's great. That's very unique. I like that a lot. And Bryce knows the Mickey Mouse game, apparently. Bryce understands.
Yeah, not a lot of people do, but I'm excited to see. Yeah, Bryce, of all people, I'm so excited that you know that game. It was really hard. I want to put that out there, by the way.
Right. That, the Mickey Mouse game?
Yeah, it's like impossible. I've tried to replay it, and I was like, how was 7-year-old me doing this?
Right.
I think it's just like all the being braver and not knowing that you're supposed to be like afraid, and not knowing that it's like it's okay to make mistakes and all those things you have as a kid that you kind of unlearn as an adult. Yeah.
You're like unabashed moving forward because you just don't know any better. And now you're an adult and you're like, I don't want to go in that room. What's in that room? It could be anything. It could be anything. What the heck? So, well, that's super awesome. So, chat, you clearly hear a theme here of mental health, of positivity. So you have your stuff on Twitch. You have your YouTube videos. One of the things that I was impressed by, and as the marketing person in me, I was impressed to find Mxiety on Medium. This is a written article. Would you call it a social media platform? Is that a...
I think they call it an online magazine.
Okay.
That's how they refer to themselves.
like that,
but it's an aggregate of every... So like New York Times publishes through them. They're an online publishing platform, maybe?
That's a good one.
I wonder if that's the word that they would use. I want to say that.
Right.
Because New York Times publishes through them. The Polygon publishes through them. So you have these publications that are part of Medium, and then, several like authors separately, and then you can make collections. And it's, anyway, neither here nor there.
No, that is good info to know. A lot of people, especially I find gamers, they know the platforms that they're supposed to know, Discord, Twitch, YouTube. But a lot of these other platforms that are extremely popular, Medium is a worldwide, or at least USA, countrywide, known platform. I think we can call it platforms that a lot of articles go onto. It is reading, chat, okay? Read, you'll improve yourself. All right, come on. Says the guy who was just tweeting at Audible because I have too many books that I need to read. You know what I'm saying? I need some audiobooks. But how often are you posting Medium articles?
So, do you mind if I give a little bit of a background to that,
no,
the whole blogging thing? Yeah. So what happened was the whole idea was, actually the selfish part of this whole plan was, I'm going to write, and people on Twitch might read the stuff I write, because otherwise I don't know how people are going to read what I write. And I say that's selfish because that was originally the audience that I was writing for. Was people who I would like talk to people, and then I'd be like, oh, it looks like they need an article about what it's like to go through PTSD, and I'd write that article.
Mm.
And then one day one of my viewers was like, have you tried posting on Medium? And I was like, oh my god, yeah, an online huge multimedia, no, I'm not posting on Medium, because I'd read some fantastic articles on Medium, and I was like, this isn't good enough. And they're like, well, you don't have to be published with a publication. You can just anybody can publish anything. There's no guarantee that it's going to be read or that you'll make money off of it,
Sure.
but anybody can publish anything. And so I published my first piece, and I made, I think, 27 cents, and I don't think
Oh,
that was the happiest I've ever been writing, because I
I'm
was
gonna
just
say
like,
that's the
oh
best
my
damn
god,
quarter.
I can these little pennies are for my writing, like literally penny for my thoughts, right?
Mm.
And that kind of sparked all right, I guess I could post more stuff. It's tough to figure out which articles are for Medium, but I figured out now Medium has a certain voice that they're looking for, so not everything I post goes on there.
Okay.
I've had 3 articles now highlighted by Medium. So what
Wow.
that does is that if Medium highlights your article, then we'll send it out to users in the newsletter, being like, "Hey, have you read in mental health this article?" And so that part was cool. I remember when I was highlighted for the first time, I was like, community, you did this because you read it.
Right.
Yeah. And so now Medium is, so my main, still I post on my blog, and then Medium I post on whenever I feel like I have something broader. They look for a lot more of a journalistic approach. So blog pieces don't necessarily lend themselves to that. They're usually kind of navel gazing, or maybe like, oh, I thought this because this happened. But Medium is looking for something a little bit more meaty, backed in research. And so whenever I publish something like that, that's when that goes. I copy it over to Medium.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was my question, because I have not posted something to Medium ever. So when you said they prefer a more journalistic approach, so as you said, more like backed, more researched, is that the differentiation between a blog versus a Medium article?
So here's what I'll say: anybody can publish anything on Medium.
Sure.
At all. Like there's not really like a threshold. The difference is what gets I think I want to be specific, what gets highlighted by Medium. So you can publish a bunch of stuff that may or may not be read, and you're creating kind of a little portfolio, right?
Gotcha.
So over time, like I used to publish everything I published on my blog would move over to Medium, and then I was like, well, what Medium likes to emphasize is different. So I want to curate that content specifically to Medium. Same way I also publish to The Mighty. I don't know if you know about that site.
That's The Mighty. I don't, but I'm going to remember that.
Oh yeah, no, you should. So that is a chronic illness awareness website. They're owned by Yahoo and Huffington Post. Okay. And so there's a different voice that they're looking for. They're looking for more of the inspirational pieces versus the journalistic approach. Gotcha. So it took a long time, and I still feel like that's another thing that I'm learning and relearning is, what of my content deserves to be on a bigger platform, even if I like try submitting it, and what content, maybe is really just for my immediate audience. But everything Gotcha. I write is always on my blog. So that's the first place to go.
And where's your blog?
Mxiety.com.
Ooh, look at you, fancy. I saw you had a website. I didn't realize you owned the exact URL. Excellent.
I do. So Mxiety came to me in a dream where I was like, I don't know what to call myself. What am I going to do? And then Mxiety popped in, and then we went on this tirade with my husband, where like my husband was collecting a bunch of usernames and stuff, and then I was like setting up the domain. I was like, before somebody's gonna take it this exact moment. So yeah,
that's actually very smart of you to snag it, because I own like loremirth.com. I don't use it right now because just don't really have the money / the time for it, but I have it because I was going to be sure that I owned that stuff. Now, obviously, that's a longer URL. Yep. It's easier to get. We also got lore.tv is our main domain that we use for everything. That one is a 4-letter domain, so you can. It's not a lot of money for domains, but it's enough. It's like $30 for a year, something like that. So
it still costs a bunch, and it puts your information out there. By the way,
I do have the Whois Guard. Yes,
always have the Whois Guard. Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
That's
I
something I didn't
learned
know.
that the hard way. Where one of my very kind users. I say this because I didn't know about this, guys. But
Mhm.
if you buy a domain by U.S. law, you have to place an address for that domain. And one of my very kind viewers was like, just so you know, you didn't hide your address when you bought the domain. And
Yep.
I was like, yes, I was being cheap. I recall that exact moment where I was like, I don't need this thing. Yeah, that changed. So,
Yeah, definitely. There's certain things that are needed. I'm hashtag not sponsored, but Namecheap is the domain website that we go through. They have free Whois guards. It's baked into the
oh,
price, you know. So, and
that
they say
is smart.
free instead of it being like $6, it'd be $6.50 for the year. But I'll pay
Mhm.
50. It makes me feel better
Yeah,
because I don't think I'm paying more, so I'm
yeah,
okay. It's
right.
that a placebo
Of
effect.
course. Yeah.
That's awesome. And chat, why I wanted to focus on Mxiety's Medium articles and other means of content that she has is primarily because of a drum I've been beating, and this is the hill I will die on, or I will die on indeed. You have to diversify your content. Where's the clapping tweet? You have to diversify your content. You have to do it. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate that. It's important that the question content creators have to ask yourselves, if Twitch goes away, if something bad happens, Heartsport, it's good to see you, my friends. Welcome in. We're at a podcast right now, so Heartsport, welcome in. How you doing? Thanks, guys. You have to diversify your content, streamers, content creators, because if Twitch does something you don't like, you don't know what the TOS is going to be next year. You don't know if the
Yep.
advertisers are going to back out. YouTube had this happen a couple of years ago with the
Yep.
adpocalypse. You have no idea. The only way you can take your future into your own hands is to diversify your content. And Mxiety is already doing that by not just having audio, not just having video, but also written. You're covering all the bases. Okay, so good on
I
you.
totally did that because marketing and not because I was like, I think I need to make more stuff.
Yes, but it
Sure.
does fulfill itself. You know, like
Yeah.
you have to diversify for a variety of reasons. It just so happened that you have this knack for writing. Would like to think that I could write an essay if I sat down and tried. I haven't done that in a long time. So
I am an editor by
been a long time.
profession, so you
Okay.
are very welcome to send that over to me for editing.
Okay, I will
It's an
take you up on
official
that.
offer. Yes.
Yes, when I write something, which I don't know, but I will definitely take you up on that because it is something that I would like to do eventually. You know, have myself on other platforms for the same reasons that I've been talking about. So,
Mhm.
so I wanted to talk about
Mhm.
specific questions. We've talked about a lot of broad stroke, like mental health stuff here. And Heartsport, you came literally at the exact right time because here we go into mental health. Okay, welcome in, boys. I wanted to focus on the viewers first. So you
Of
being in
course.
the space for at least the year and a half, the 2 years almost that you've been streaming, you definitely know better than me the places that viewers should go if they feel anything, literally anything. You know, all of the things. And I'm a proud member of the Heartsport stream team. I normally tell them to go to Heartsport. Heartsport.com has the wall, all that good stuff that they have, all the free resources. But that's really all I know. Where else? And what
Where
other
else?
examples can they go? I'm sure you know the things.
So I am posting right now for those listening to this as a podcast. It doesn't get
Oh, it's
Nightbot,
okay.
Nightbot's not
Nightbot
mean.
has
It's
hurt you.
okay. It's okay.
Nightbot, damn it. This is
Uh
our friend. Go ahead. Do it again. Do it again.
one more time, just for good measure. But
With
yeah,
feeling.
so on the point of my website was to create a space. The other thing that I couldn't find was one space for all of this information that was out there. There's so much information out there and nobody's curating it. So I was like, one of the things that I want to do is take the reliable information and put it in and just put it on my webpage, and so that people know where to go if they need to. So that's what I did.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I send them there, and then that page is full of it leads you to Heart Support, it leads you to Take This, which is another organization for gamers and mental health, raising mental health awareness. There's Rise Above the Disorder, previously Mxiety Gamers. There is and then there's a bunch of apps. So all of that is on the site. And so I also have commands. Suicide prevention, SP int will give you international numbers. SP US will give you US numbers for like suicide hotlines. And yeah, so I know how to direct people. I'm mental health first aid certified. So the only thing I do know, I say I'm not qualified to help you, but I am qualified to tell you where to go
Right.
confidently.
And that's good that you say that because that's exactly. I'm not certified in any way, and I actually have told people like, look, I'm a blunt person by nature. If you tell me about your problems, my reaction, and this is most likely wrong, is to be like, Yeah, just go fix it. You know, it's just go do it.
I'm gonna say, yeah, that's still my reaction.
Okay.
You
And
can't, that can't be like trained out of you. My first reaction is, and it always probably will be, how do you fix it? I
yeah,
definitely will listen, and people can vent, and I always am here to just hear you out if you need to. But
right.
the first question I will ask if you're venting is, do you want to hear advice, or do you just want me to listen?
That's good. That step
Yeah,
alone is something I don't currently snap to that when someone tells me something, and that's something I have to work on because
it's hard, man.
it is
Even though I
because
ask, it's hard. It's really hard because you're like, let me tell you what you got to do. You don't get onto a platform with 4.5 billion users and 1.5 billion viewers if you don't want to tell people a little bit of something, something that you think you know,
I like to talk.
right?
So
Right? Yeah, you either like to talk, you feel like you have some opinions that people would agree or have opinions about. Like, you don't just come onto this platform because you're like, I mean, some people do. I don't know. There's a little bit of everything, but you
I
get
think
what
the
I'm
only
saying.
people that do come on this platform that don't talk are like, and we've said this, are the god gamers, the ones that don't have to talk
Yeah,
because you just
yeah,
watch them play because of the freaking like angles they take and
yeah,
the
yeah.
way they use their character are so nuts. But that's I'm talking about Faker. If you ever played League of Legends chat or Shroud, you watch Shroud. He doesn't even have to talk. He does, but you know, I would watch him play just because I'm like, man, he flicks so fast. He's so good at shooting them heads. Goodness gracious. Oh man. So, but all those things you could find on your website. Yes, mxiety.com.
That is correct. Including my Twitch. Yeah, anything anxiety related is all roads lead to the website.
Our website. And that's good because, chat, as a branding person, okay, again, I'm just going to keep on complimenting you, even if you don't want me to, okay? mxiety.com, having a website that is a backbone of your brand is important because it is extremely professional and you dictate the full breadth of what it is. So if you're a content creator out there, Twitch should not be your backbone, chat. It's where I produce most of my content.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
is, well, I do as I say, not as I do. It is my current backbone because once we get to the money at my new job, chat, we can actually, take my websites and do something with them on Squarespace, Wix, all that stuff. I know. So
Squarespace is the best.
it's
They
the
don't pay me to
best.
advertise them, and I advertise the Jesus out of them because
I
they're
can
it's
draw a website
so, yeah,
instead of
it's
code.
so easy to put it together, and it looks beautiful.
Hashtag not sponsored, but still, chat. Go to Squarespace, okay? Like Wix and WordPress, I feel like I have to like learn how to code widgets and
Yeah.
stuff, and I have
Yeah.
to
For it
understand
to look
plugins. And
decent. You can make a web. That being said, I don't want to personally discourage anybody from not making a web. Like,
I
if
do,
you just want to have a website and have a bunch of links, like have a space where all of your links live, totally just make a
yeah.
WordPress site and call it a day. But I had a blog, I had writing, I had photography I wanted to show off, my husband's photography. All
Oh,
the
cool.
pictures, by the way, are taken by my husband because he's a champ. But uh yeah, so I knew that I was going to have a central space that was like super pretty.
Right.
But you don't have to. Like, it can be as complicated as you want it to be, but it's better to have it than not have it.
Yes. And this is actually something that we've talked about quite a bit with the influx of younger, newer people this past year and a half onto Twitch with
Mm,
Ninja and Fortnite and all this. You got a lot of people
mm.
coming in and self-promoting and all that stuff, but they don't actually know how to properly market, and that's why I want this to be said loud and clear, chat, that you can have these things that Mxiety's talking about, just like links below your stream. That's okay at the beginning. And then when you want to level up, you come talk to me or her and we'll direct you, okay, down the right path.
To Squarespace.
To Squarespace. Again, not sponsored, but I'm
Not
open to that
sponsored.
Squarespace. Look at me. I'm open to that Squarespace, okay? You hear me? You see it. You see Look at us. Look at us. So as a thank you for that. Everybody, again, go to mxiety.com if you're struggling with anything, or just,
Thank you.
as a proud member of Heart Support Stream Team, go right to Heart Support chat and you'll get some good stuff, okay?
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm, mhm.
Now I think is going to be probably one of the best things as far as my viewers are concerned for this podcast. As we've been saying, Mxiety is an avid interviewer and has interviewed quite a few members of Twitch. So I'm going to reverse roles here for a second and be put into the hot seat. And Mxiety is going to ask me some questions. And this is a no holds bar thing, chat. You know me, I'm an open book cover to cover. So what kind of questions do you like asking your people? And ask me those questions.
All right. Well, the first question that we ask, as many guests as I can remember to ask this question, it's the most important one, I think, and it really gets down. It tells you a lot about a person. What's your favorite Disney character?
Oh. Hey, oh goodness. Disney
Mm.
character.
See, it seems so goofy, but then like people go into these like deep, like, oh, I could be Aladdin, but then also
That's
Simba.
too
Yeah,
easy. Too easy.
yeah.
Now, technically, Disney owns Marvel.
Oh, okay, all right. You know what?
A
I guess I
loophole,
could say
chat.
Disney Animation. I should
A
probably be
loophole.
more specific.
So
But
if it
no, you
should
can
be
say
animation,
Marvel. You know what?
if
Call it.
if the
Call it.
question is animation, we can do animation. But also, Disney technically owns the Alien series, so we can. The aliens are
Yes.
Disney
And they
princesses.
own
Okay,
Deadpool
so
now. Yeah,
oh
Disney
well, then
princesses.
that's the answer to my question. But if it's strictly animation, I will stick to the animation and stop, and I will hop back through the loopholes that I have created for myself. My Disney animation, that is hard. There's a lot of movies that are like, so growing up, I love Toy Story, obviously. Okay,
Obviously.
come on. That claw, the whole thing was like that scene with the aliens. I remember cracking up as a kid when they were getting,
Right?
we have been chosen, and it comes up. It's so funny. I don't know why it was so funny to me. But I gotta say, my favorite Disney movie. Oh, it's got to be Hercules.
Character.
It's got to
Okay,
be
but so
Hercules.
would
Oh,
Hercules be the
character.
character? Yes, it's character.
No, and oh my
No.
God, Fox! I just read chat. I was literally going to say Hades because two thumbs way up. He's so
Way up.
funny. Is
He's
that
great.
who is that actor that voice acts? Is that James Woods who
It
does
is James
Hades?
Woods. Thank you for remembering because
So
it was
good.
going to
So
kill. I was like, I know this because I talked about it yesterday, but yeah.
proud of you, Fox. Fox literally as I'm thinking this chat, Fox types Hades from Hercules. So excellent job, Fox. Look at that. Look at that. I love that movie. I loved the I don't remember the main girl's name. What was her
Megara?
name? Meg, yes, Meg, and obviously shortened. And Hercules, obviously, I liked his little minions. You know, they were goofy and
Pain
silly. Pain and
and
suffering,
panic.
panic. It was something. I was like something terrible, suffering. Yes. What a good transition for a mental health podcast.
Uh-huh.
Just Hades, pain, and
Uh,
suffering. Awesome. So yes, that is my answer.
That is really so, but I find that that's very telling about a person. So my favorite character, to return the favor, since you probably haven't
Please.
watched every stream ever, is Rapunzel. And every episode I wear a new Disney bow. They're not always new, but
see
a
it.
different one. Yeah.
I see it.
Okay. Yeah.
You got the
Yeah.
aesthetic down at the very least. Okay. You know, we
Yeah,
got
it's
the
a,
bow,
it's a
the
little
hair.
bit it's a little bit something. Yeah, thank you. So then my question is, what have you experienced any mental health challenges in your life?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Haven't we all, chat? No, I honestly believe that. I think every single person goes
Yeah.
through something.
Whether
at some
you're aware
point.
of it or not.
I think that's the only broad strokes thing I've ever said that is 100% true at all times. That everybody goes through something sometimes. So it's yes, I have. I've been through quite a bit in my life. And chat, actually, I was going to make this a standalone podcast episode, but if we're asking the question now, this is a good time. Chat, you all know I talk about, we have a joke on my stream. It's not very kind, but it is a joke on my stream that if we see an ugly monster, okay, I will say, "Oh, chat, look, it's my big X." You know, it's again not very kind, but it's how I cope with things.
I was gonna say that's a coping mechanism.
It's
That's not
definitely
bad.
coping. It's not good, chat. It's not kind, and I don't
You
like
know,
it. So, you know.
Bill Nye still makes jokes that are like, haha, you mean my boss?
Yeah, exactly.
Every time I cringe so hard. So if Bill Nye can do it, you can do it.
Exactly. If I can get through something and not do that. But why I say that, Chan, is because I dated a girl for 5 years. Long time. And this is the part that Chat's gonna start crying at me or like get mad that it's taken this long for me to tell them. I got engaged to this girl and found out that she had been sleeping around. So I got the ring back. Okay, so I know, Fox. This is when the bomb drops. I know, Chat. This is when the bomb drops. I know. Everyone's gonna be like, but L'Oreal, you seem so happy. Chat, I am. And this is the thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Oh my God, my dogs, of course, right now is the time that they're barking.
I can't hear them if that makes you feel better.
Okay, good. Actually, if you can hear them, that means the viewers can't hear them. So, yeah, chat. It was a horrible moment in my life. I basically was in shock for like 2 months. I literally don't remember 2 months after I broke up with her, and I broke up with her because I was not having that shit. Like that was my line: is cheating, especially to a fiance. Or even a husband and wife situation. I was like, no. So broke that off.
You don't want to sign up for that.
Yeah. So broke that off, and I'm good now. It's been many years. Not many. I'll say it's been many years. I'm not going to give you the exact time.
A few.
But it's been a few. A few's fair. And the thing I always say, and thank you, Bryce, is, chat, do I strike you as an unhappy person? Do I strike you as somebody that's like suffering on a day-to-day thing? I hope not. And that's not a front. I'm actually not. And why that is because I forgave her. And that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. Oh my gosh. Because I would have to go, I couldn't talk to my parents about it because they were hurt too. I couldn't talk to my brothers about it because they were hurt too. So I had to
Of
talk to
course.
my pastor, right? Which is ironic based on who just followed. That's hilarious. Welcome in, Master. It's good to have you. Jeez Louise. That's a hell of a thing. I had to talk to my pastor. He helped me understand that, like, I said the words, oh yeah, I've totally forgiven her. And then he literally leans forward and does the have you? And I was like, no. Just like,
Yeah.
the waterworks are coming down. So, but that was a long time ago. And I realized that I had to forgive her. Otherwise, I was going to let bitterness take like a root in me.
Yeah.
And that was another way that I was letting her control me. And I couldn't let
Yeah.
that happen. So it wasn't like out of spite or out of hate. It was out of, I need to move past this for both me and her, I guess, eventually. So, so that's my big bombshell story for your chat. You're welcome. You're welcome. So thank you for your hearts, Chandra. Appreciate that. So there's my answer for you, Mxiety. What do you have for me? Obviously, I'm coping in a very unhealthy way by comparing her to a zombie, but
I don't think that's coping in an unhealthy way. I think is that's just coping. I mean, coping in an unhealthy way would be harmful to you.
yes.
And if it's not harming you, I mean, it's not harming her because she can't see it. If you were walking around and specifically calling her a monster to her face
Oh no,
because that made you feel better, I'd have a different discussion with you.
no, it's not
Um,
something I do.
yeah, but you're just, I don't know, you're making light of it. And there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. Yeah, as
Yeah.
long as you're not hurting her or yourself directly,
No,
I think you're okay.
to be honest,
Yeah.
makes me feel kind of good. So it's not healthy, but it's
No, I'm telling you, it's
you know
healthy.
okay.
The only thing that would make it unhealthy is if it was harmful to you, is if like it genuinely did worse, made you feel worse, really inside. If it doesn't, then it's a coping mechanism. A coping mechanism is a coping mechanism.
There you go,
Try to
Chandra.
say that 3 times fast because I just didn't. It wasn't. It's not very good. Not
I
very easy.
could, but I'm not gonna make a fool of myself more than I already have. So we're just gonna leave it at that.
But I'm really
So there you
sorry
go.
that happened to you. That's
It's okay.
a.
Thank you for saying that.
It's really awful to experience people. I think that that's been the thing that as I talk to people as often as I do, it's been painful living through stuff like that with them. And that is the thing. I think I hear that the most is that somebody hurt me, and since then I have not been able to let go, to trust. I've had a hard time creating relationships since then. That is so so painful because it's one person affecting the rest of your life, right?
See, here's the
And it
thing.
yeah.
Sorry, go finish your thought. Sorry.
No, that the final piece there is that it's somebody in your life for a month, for 2 years, and then you have another long life to live.
Hmm.
And to carry that around, like, I understand why, but it's painful. It's painful for everybody.
Yeah. When I was Thank you for your kind words, first of all. What I was going to say, Fox, I'm really sorry that's happening to you too. I see stuff in chat.
Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat it for audio, but thank you for opening up about that, Fox. Real talk is, I had to get over her because even though it wasn't like something, I literally had to rip out half of me and throw it on the curb because of
Yeah.
decisions she made. It was definitely
Yeah.
one of the most painful things I've ever had to do in my life. I knew that I had to forgive, overcome, because even though I went through this traumatically painful thing, I saw, at least I approached what love is. I don't know if she ever loved me because of what happened. I like to
Right.
think that at moments she did, but as holistically, I'm not sure. I got to see what at least approaching love will be. And because of the will be, I have to better myself because eventually I'm going to feel that again. And you can too, chat, whoever you are. So, it doesn't matter what happened to you. It matters what you do. Because and I liked how you said, and I think I kind of touched on that earlier too, if you let this one person that has hurt you, and you continue to wallow and not improve yourself, you're letting them still, or at least memories of them, dictate your future, and that's not right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not healthy for literally anybody, most of all you. So
Yeah, the best I've heard it said is very succinctly, and this is what I quote all the time, which is, "Don't let anybody from your past determine your future."
ooh yeah,
Right.
Can you just sum up everything I say? That would be great. That'd be
Okay. Yeah, I can do
fantastic.
that. Do you want me to come on to your,
To
like,
podcast more.
have you ever watched Key and Peele? You know, there's an anger translator.
Yes,
I
the
could
anger
just be
translator.
a
You can just be the mental health
succincter.
translator. But like, what Laura means to say is this and 2 sentences. That sounds great, actually. I like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's super fun.
Yeah. So what did that mean to you? Like, how did that transform you?
Oh
How
gosh,
did that?
how didn't it?
How didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
really.
affected every part of your life, didn't it?
Literally everything. I equated to a crucible. You know, I had to go through a literal trial by fire of like I felt you know, I'll be quite honest with you, chat. I had suicidal thoughts, like not a lot, but it was enough that I was like, I saw it and I was like, whoa. Like it wasn't just me.
They're usually terrifying.
Yeah,
I
it
want
was
to,
the second I
while
had it,
we're
I was like,
here, we might as
holy
well
crap.
dispel
So,
that
you know.
rumor. When you have those thoughts, you're not like, these are great.
No,
Like,
no, gosh.
you scare yourself.
It actually was one of
most
the things
time.
that snapped me out of my funk because I realized that I do equate my past mental states. I had to be careful with how I say that to a pit where before I was
Yeah.
looking into the pit.
I love
and
that
said,
analogy.
Yeah, and I was like, look down there. You know, I'm not in the muck, in the mud. But then when I broke up with her, I was in the muck. Didn't even realize I was drowning in the muddy water until I started choking. Right, and I was like, oh gosh, this is happening.
Yeah.
So I had to fix myself. I had to do something, you know. So I leaned on my friends. Obviously, that night that I broke up with her, I went to my best friend's house, who I just actually got to see Endgame with. Love you, buddy. And it was so good. I got to go see Endgame with him and his wife, so that was a lot of fun. And I've known him ever since we were kids, by the way. Like literally, as long as we've both been alive. So
I
it's
love
like
those stories.
yeah, it makes me happy. So I went to his house, and I don't even remember the video game that we played because again, I was literally in shock for like 2 months after it happened. But I just remember being at his house. We played video games till like 3 a.m, and then I finally went to sleep because my mind was just like I was adrenaline, and then I would cry. That would give me more adrenaline. I kept like going to get my phone to like text her, and he was like, no, and he like took my phone, and I was like, good, please take it. I would have moments of I want to call her, and then nope, take my phone. I would have moments of strength, but slowly but surely. And this is the hard part, Chad, is that it's time. I know that's the cliche, but it's real. Every day it got a little better, and I'll actually tell you the moment that I remember this very vividly, and I hope my parents don't listen to this because they'll get upset most likely, but as in they'll cry. And love you, Mom, if you're listening. But I remember it was like a month and a half, 2 months after I dumped her, and I was in like a fog. Like I would go to work, do my job, and then come home. I literally again don't remember what was happening. And then I remember coming home, dropping my bag, and just like being in that fog. And my mom like turned off the TV. I didn't even realize that she had turned it off. I was just kind of standing there, like looking at my stuff, organizing, and she gave me a hug, and I just hugged her back again, kind of just numb, not really know what's like going on. And she goes, just so you know, because I'm the eldest of 3 boys, we have no girls in the family. So my mom says, just so you know, and she's crying, of course, already. I was ready to have a daughter, but you made the right decision, and that snapped all of this. You know, I know Thanos jokes aside, snapped the sadness out of me. And all of a sudden I was pissed. I went from, and this was again part of it, but went from being in a haze and being sad to angry. And I remember being very, very angry because I had forgotten, oh shit.
She affected other people.
My family, not just other people, my best friends. We had sent out the wedding invitations already. So like my entire family knew of this stuff, you know? So I had, in a way, I was being selfish, and that made me mad at myself because I had not taken into account everybody else's pain. I was just focusing on me. So I snapped out of the sadness, and I was like, nope, that's getting fixed, because I saw the effect on other people, and that was the moment that I was like, okay, time to fix this. And that's when I guess that's when the crucible, as I call it, starts. So, and that's when I chose to better myself. I was, feeling down. I didn't, of course this was going to happen. I didn't feel like I was worth anything to anybody because this is a woman I loved, and she treated me like absolute dirt. I was a glorified paycheck.
She taught you that lesson, right?
Right, and that was wrong. That's false.
Right,
that's not correct, but it's the thoughts that the enemy was whispering into me. I'm a big-time Christian, so that's something that I mentioned the pastor. I leaned on that stuff, heart support, the whole thing. So, Chandra, I love those lyrics. I don't know what that song is from. Tell me. I don't remember. I feel like I know that song, but I don't know. Tell me, Chandra. Sorry, I'm reading chat. So it was a hard point in
So
my life. So yeah.
tell me, do you feel like you were an established person before you met her, or do you feel
Ooh.
like breaking up with her helped you kind of establish yourself as you?
That is an excellent question. And no, I actually did not feel like I was an established person. So that's I love that question. I like can't, say that question enough. Jess, you came at the right time. We're having heavy talks. Okay. You're going to have to watch this again. You know what I'm saying? Bombshells dropped. So before I was dating her, oh, thank you, Joey. Dean Lewis, Be All Right is the song for everybody in the audio that's not watching live on
Oh.
Laura.tv. Okay. Come on down. The whole thing. Got to get that shameless plug, you know what I'm saying? So
It's not very shameless if it's your channel.
there, from the guest's mouth, chat. There it is. Okay. So, but to answer your question, no, I don't feel like I was an established person before. Before, I was a bartender, waiter. I was just kind of coasting. I didn't really feel like I had any kind of direction. And dating her really focused myself and my responsibility. When we were prepping to get married, I was like, I need to get a better job. I can't support a family as a bartender. So I got a better job. It's like it was that simple. So I do not have a 4-year degree. I do not have a 2-year degree for that matter. I'm almost at a 2-year degree. Everything I know through marketing and through stuff is self-taught, and all because it started with me wanting to provide for a family like I think a good husband should. This even post led to even post the breakup. Was still like, well, I got to continue this path for my career because whoever the next girl is, I still got to be able to provide for our family. So just because I broke up with Big X is the only thing that I'll refer to her on a public podcast like this chat. Even though that didn't work, still had to continue forward because there's the future. Okay, there's the future. Yeah. That's a great question, though. I really like the way you worded that. Established person before. I like that. Yeah.
The reason I ask that is because often I feel like, especially the younger you are, often people go through the notions and feel like there's check boxes. Like, I don't need to figure myself out as long as I'm checking off boxes. So meet girl, check. Engaged to girl, check. Get married. I'm just about going to check that off. And it's super natural to kind of go through that. But I think a big part of our growing up often happens in between those check marks, right?
Yeah.
It's in the moments where we kind of figure out who we are while we're fulfilling these, life bars that we set for ourselves. Because
it's not the destination; it's the journey.
See, now I'm somebody.
Right. But everybody, I believe in a universal path, which is this idea that there is one string of knowledge that everybody has access to and that everybody has to go through. And you can only figure things out in a specific order. There's no way for you to understand what death is like until somebody dies, right?
True.
In your family. There's no way for you to figure out that, hey, I got to depend on myself until you go through a deep breakup or you have to move away from your family, right? So those big moments that we have as people, those figuring out, oh my God, this is what life is like. Those big moments, that's what the universal path is. And so some of us can kind of figure them out. Some of us can maybe, for example, be like, hey, I don't want to go through these check marks. I got to figure myself out first, right? So that person is still, it's not like a path it's not like a Monopoly game where when you get to the Chutes and Ladders where you get to the end and you win. It's an infinite path, but somebody who is deciding not to check off those check marks is kind of in a different place than you are, and then you kind of catch up with them. And you're like, hey, this is this thing being me. I finally figured it out. Anyway, that was a long-suited way to say you're doing the right thing. You're doing your best.
Thanks. I gotta hope so. So it's hard sometimes to know if I'll make it anecdotal, am doing the right thing. But if you say so, sure.
All right. Well, I determine this. Oh my God, that's a lot of pressure. I
know. That was unfair. No, it's hard.
I'm gonna put this on you. You tell me.
Yes, chat. Mxiety is now my life coach. Okay, she's gonna tell me all the. I know exactly.
You don't need a lot of qualifications to be a life coach. So yeah, sure.
Not apparently, as far as Twitter is concerned. Okay, you don't need any kind of things. Oh, is that the T chat? Oh, here we go.
If that doesn't call for a T emote, I don't know what does.
We have Laura Sips in chat. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
By the way, that's going to be, once it's approved, chat, that'll be the final affiliate emote that we have unlocked. Okay.
That's my 4th emote, I think.
Your Sip? I like it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, tea sipping.
That's some
Also, I
bold
drink a
tea.
lot of tea on stream, as you could tell.
Ah.
So it just works out, period. I was like, I drink a lot of tea, so it'll work when we're talking about tea. And also, yeah, 10 out of 10 with hires. That girl Bryce, I will lead you so far down the wrong path where I'll be like, you see that? Why don't you go figure that out? I'm gonna go over here, and then can we converse and figure out if I coached you right? Can you let me know? Okay, cool.
Long term, you know. Yeah, one of my favorite, and I'll kind of end, unless you want to talk more about it, but this is, I think, a good spot to pause this story. Is one of my favorite people is Jordan Peterson, and he says the best way to correct the malevolence and the loneliness and the depravity of your life is, which is already heavy stuff, is to take on more responsibility, is to own more pieces of your life. And chat, let me tell you, this is, as far as me, anecdotally, true. Okay, when I was doing, random stuff, when I was blowing through my cash, when I was not saving, not being responsible, when I was not being responsible, I felt powerless and I felt not in control ever. Now that I'm saving my money, that I am launching 2 businesses while owning a personal brand on Twitch and having a day job, all of these things, I'm extremely happy. And I've honestly never been this happy, even when I was with the girl we were just talking about. So, because I was still not as in control and as happy with the responsibilities as I am now. So, that's what I got.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah. Happiness is in self-discovery. That's it.
Yeah.
See, I don't even realize I'm doing it where I summarize.
She's doing it, Chan. Happiness is in self-discovery. I like this.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, you're doing it. This is fine. Okay. Apparently, you can be a life coach. So that was a great question. My chat has been getting allusions to that for some time. It's not that I'm embarrassed about it, chat. I simply, wanted to respect her privacy. I don't talk to her. I haven't talked to her since. It's not something I like to bring up because it's not something that affects me now, if I'm being honest. It's something that I've moved past.
I know somebody who went through that and they both signed an NDA.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
God.
So I'm not trying to say it could have been worse, but I am trying.
No, I think it could have been worse. That's fine. That's definitely worse. I don't want legal documentation. Oh gosh,
right?
that would be
right. Then who would you call a monster?
That's fair.
In the NDA and like
right.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, here, one sec. I think the camera just lost you for a sec. Say things, Mxiety. Say it.
I saw. I'm watching the stream and I'm like, why is my face all pixelated and stuff? Okay, I'm back.
Blurry. I'm back. We're Gucci. I'm going to make a note of the timestamp. We're good. Edit it out of the podcast, the live version. You get it, though, chat. You get it. So do you have any other questions for me?
I do, but at that point, it would just be like a full-blown my interview, and then I can't.
Why don't we have you do one more? Why don't we have you do one more? Just for,
one more.
Yeah. Why don't we have it?
Okay. Yeah, how do you make sure that experience doesn't you know what, I feel like you answered this, but how do you feel how do you make sure that experience does not define you?
How do I ensure that experience does not define me? Well, I did touch on it a little bit, but this is a good time to clarify this. By forgiving her, by forgiving somebody that has wronged me deeply, because I've seen what holding on to that bitterness and that anger does to people, and it absolutely does nothing to the person that wronged you. It does everything to yourself. It makes you bitter. It makes you resent. It makes you unhappy in general, and it grows. It doesn't. I call it a bitter root because I want this analogy to be real. It grows from a root into a bud into a tree that is a toxic tree in your freaking heart. In this analogy, right? So you can't let somebody else's opinion of you dictate how you feel about you. So this girl didn't want me, or at least wanted other things more.
Right.
Am I to let that affect my future relationships? Am I to think that, because of that, then everybody? First of all, that just doesn't make sense. Just, I'm a data guy, so statistically, that just doesn't make sense. There's got to be somebody out there. But that sounds more cold than I want it to be. You know what I'm saying? It's not about some one person's opinion. It's about my opinion. And I think this is the best place for anybody to be in chat is you need to be able to be simultaneously okay with yourself and still want to improve. All right, like I'm fit but I would like to be more muscles and larger. You know, like
Mhm.
I've always been scrawny, and I would like to bulk up, and I'm quite proud of my results thus far. But I'm not where I want to be. But I'm still okay with myself. It's not like
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
people that are like, oh, I don't have enough muscles, or oh, I have, I'm too fat
Yeah.
or too skinny, various sizes, whatever. Um, like Mr. Junior, by the way, is just the most muscular man I've ever met. So I don't know. He must have the best kind of self-esteem. So sorry, he's one of my mods. I have to say funny things to him.
Maybe
Okay.
he's saying, "Hey, maybe I'm too muscular." You don't know.
I don't know. So exactly. So that's right, Mimi. Statistically, somebody's got to put up with me. That's pretty good.
You know,
Okay,
if we're
so-
going to statistics, then statistically that person's gonna put up with you and then divorce you. So I don't know. It's not always working in your advantage. I'm just saying.
Oh, it's so funny. Awesome. Cool. What do you have? I think that's a good place for your questions to stop. You ask. I asked for this chat. Okay, I asked for the heavy questions. Mxiety delivered. So excellent job. Excellent job. So I
You're
know
welcome.
between the Avengers spoilers and dropping bombshells, did you plan this, Mxiety? Did you plan coming up? Okay.
I mean, I plan most of my life. So
There it is.
I think I told you. So
Confirm.
my profession is I'm a project manager and editor by profession.
Oh,
So it's
tight.
an interesting combination, but it makes for a very type A personality.
And trust me, I do the digital and physical marketing for my current company, and
Mhm.
I do all the trafficking and analytics. I like to think of
Mhm.
myself as like a high functioning nerd because I can
Mhm.
speak engineer to the sales team and like translate. So
That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel, but with psychological information or
gotcha.
information about psychology. I feel like the translator between the psychologist and the people who are just like, I don't understand what depression is. Can you please explain it to me without me feeling stupid? Yeah.
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 How do you? I think that's a good like end question. How do you define depression as a
Well, mhm.
expert?
Well, so first of all, we're gonna take expert right out of that equation because I can't call myself an expert.
Do you call yourself
Uh,
an influencer?
oh Lord, no. Advocate is good, cheerleader is
Advocate.
good, champion is good, definitely influencer. Oh, there's something about that word that just reminds you of like, hey, so this is
Oh
a
gosh.
lotion that
Yeah.
I've been using. It's like the best. And my poor husband took 14 pictures before I was okay with this one with me holding the lotion like this. So I can't.
Mxiety's makeup channel confirmed. Okay.
Yeah.
And Sardu Let's Play also confirmed. We got it. What else? What else? Let's see. I'm an
Yeah,
expert
so
influencer personally. Okay.
oh, you're an
Yeah.
expert at influencing influencers?
Yes.
Could that get that thing?
Or does that make me an expert at influencing? God, this is just confusing. What was my original
Yeah.
question? Exclamation point train.
Yeah.
We were just talking about
Yeah, choo choo. Yeah, no, your original question. How do you depression? So
this. Yes.
depression is prolonged feelings of worthlessness and nothing and despair. You could not have feelings at all. So there is a like Bible, the psychologist Bible version of the Bible definition of it. But the like in just layman simple terms, it's very usually, months and months. I think it's 6 months officially, where you feel worthless and empty and feel like you need to um like you lose motivation for things. So that's the space in which you start worrying about it. If it's a prolonged, everybody goes through a little bit of depression, after somebody dies or after a breakup or something like that. But if it's a prolonged feeling and it's not going away and you feel like you can't climb out and everything seems dark and hopeless, that's the time to definitely talk to somebody. I mean,
Gotcha.
I would talk to somebody beforehand. If I had my way, everybody to a therapist in their lifetime
Please.
at least once.
Oh my gosh,
If
I
had
cannot
my way.
advocate therapy more. Like I mentioned, I talked to my pastor, but
Mhm.
that was sporadic and really just not. It wasn't as much as it could have been. I went to therapy, however. That was great. I highly recommend going into therapy,
Yeah.
not just for my like breakup, but for this breakup, but for
Yeah.
just life in general. Just getting to talk
Just
to a
life in
neutral third
general.
party. So, and
Yeah.
I actually went through a couple of therapists before I found one
Mhm.
that I liked, because
Mhm.
first therapist I went to when I was in high school said my first, and you're gonna hate this, first session was like, yes, I'm just gonna give you ADD meds, cut me a prescription, wrote it. I was 15. I do not take those pills anymore. I stopped taking them when I was in college because my
Boy.
roommate, Mr. Junior, love you, said that I was like a robot when it was I don't remember the name of it, but it was shut me down. It made me very, very right. Literally resident sleeper, Mr. Junior. It made me. I would do my homework, and then I would go to bed. Like that was and then I would play WoW. So but that's another story. Okay, no, but I don't take meds anymore.
Yeah, that's not a good therapist.
I'm not saying don't take meds, chat. I'm saying I personally know that no, definitively, because I've gone to my final therapist. The last one is great. She said like, why the hell are you of any people taking medication? You don't need it. You just need somebody to talk to, and highly recommend therapy, chat. Okay, highly recommend therapy.
The thing that I talk about is why wouldn't you want somebody from a higher level, from a professional standpoint, look at your life and be like, you know what, you could use some of this. Like, why wouldn't somebody want that? Or if that's not your preference, you can also have a professional come at you and be like, well, that really sucks. Or you can have a professional that's like, hey, that's really not a big deal and that's okay. Or, there's just so many, I don't know. There's not a situation in my life that I have regretted ever seeing a therapist. I think it's
oh gosh, right. I think that's the thing. Even though I was misprescribed medication, really, it did have a positive effect where it taught me what it looked like to study, because I didn't know what that was. I didn't know how to. When I was growing up, I had no idea how to study.
Go. I mean, that's you definitely looking for a silver lining, and I appreciate that a lot. But
I still don't recommend it.
Yeah, still don't. Yeah, exactly. That's not how I recommend you about that. But it's awesome that you're able to find that silver lining. I've went through bad therapists, and I always say, all it takes is one good therapist. Because when you find the one good therapist, you're like, oh, this is what everybody's been talking about. This is great. This is important. Yeah.
And I agree 100% with that, actually. We're over. Man, I always enjoy talking to somebody that I don't even have to check the clock. We were talking about checking the clock earlier. So, Mxiety, this has been absolutely fantastic having you on. I know people appreciate me saying fantastic. Okay, just all the good stuff. It's been great having you on. Would love to have you again. Definitely. Right, when is part 2, says Fox. I would love to have you again. This is great. I'll be definitely DMing you about some ideas I have coming up. Okay.
Okay. You talk to my people. Talk to your people.
Yes, I'll have your people call my people. We're gonna go out to get some cannolis. Okay, I'm butchering the accent, chat. We're gonna stop there. Mxiety, as always, you get the final word. If you want to talk about your stream, if you got an article coming out on whatever platform you put stuff on, floor is yours.
So be sure to check me out on all social media platforms at Mxiety, definitely. I also do episodes. You guys are streamers. I also do episodes where I let streamers just respond to questions. Where I respond to questions that streamers have about, like, hey, somebody came into my chat and they were suicidal. How do I respond to that? So helping streamers deal with mental health emergencies as they come up. I am qualified to do that, so I do that. But the main thing that I want to say, and I think that's really important, is our saying in our stream is be the light. And that's this idea that when you feel unwell and you feel like everything's dark and you feel like nobody can give you what you need, you go out there and be that for somebody else. Show other people what it is that you would have needed. Be that example. Be the light to somebody.
There you go, chat. I don't think I could have ended it better myself. Mxiety, thanks again. I'm going to fade you out. I'm going to ping you up. We're going to take a quick break as well. It was great to have you, and I hope to see you again.
I'm happy to be on again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will talk to you soon. This has been another episode of the Sanctum Sessions podcast. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to follow or subscribe on all the big platforms. We're on all of them. This podcast is supported by our Patreon. Head over to patreon.loru.tv for exclusive podcast rewards. Once again, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time.